Hi, this is Brandon Yates, and
I'm Jacob Bedrington.
we're in astronomy doing a report on War of the Worlds.
1, 2, 3, 4. The book, the radio broadcast, and both movies, 1953 and 2005.
So, what did you think of the War of the Worlds book? I mean,
The book, well, I have to say the wording was excellent. The flow, it kept me going from point A to point B.
Yeah, I mean, it did, but I think that everything should go off the book, but nothing really did. It was
Everybody took their creative license with it.
Exactly. I mean, but the fact that that it was based in London and there was 2 books actually made.
No, you gotta be careful. The book was based in London, the original, made by H.G.
Yeah, H.G.
Everything afterwards took place in America.
Yeah, exactly. But the 2 books that H.G. Wells actually made were based in London. One was the Resistance and the other one was the Invasion. Or the first one was the Invasion.
The first book is called The Martians Come to Earth, and the second is called The Earth Under the Martians. Pretty accurate.
But basically, it's the same story over and over again with the movies and everything else. It's aliens.
But there are some key differences.
There are a few differences. But Martians are actually coming down to Earth and pretty much destroying civilization as we know it. They're harvesting us for food and
resources, growing the plants,
everything. I mean, it's very interesting.
Making their coffee, grinding our bones to make their bread.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and eventually, somehow, we went out. But that's besides the point.
We came out on top like the underdogs we are.
Exactly. So.
Death to the Zeno, praise the
Emperor. The book, though, is based in London, right?
The book begins in London. Actually, it begins in the area southwest of London.
Exactly. So that's where the invasion actually started. Basically, all of our science fiction of aliens or Martians comes from some sort of thing like this, where a story starts and it just keeps
sets the foundations.
It sets foundations. Like Area 51 and all that stuff. We're not going to get into that, but anyways.
The Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, etc., etc. You've all seen that movie.
Yes, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. What did you think about? Did you hear the broadcast that they sent out, or?
The radio broadcast by O.G. Wells.
Orson Welles.
Original gangster Wells.
Yeah, he.
Not to be confused with Homeboy Wells.
He was. I mean, he was one heck of an artist, I would think, because to make people.
Well, he convinced people to suicide.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there was over 1 million listeners, and like.
He has my vote for president.
Exactly right. 1.7 million actually believed the broadcast. 1.2 actually left their homes due to the fact that they actually thought Martians actually were invading Earth.
Now, this is attributed to, his ability as an orator. But it's not only that, it was the method in which he did it.
And
because they were broadcasted as separate news bulletins.
And the fact that he had a disclaimer at the beginning of each broadcast saying this is not a real broadcast. And some people missed that because the fact that there was another show going on before his show went on. And the fact that...
next week on Batman, the Joker returns. Now we bring you to... They're coming! Over the bridge!
And the fact that... that most people were listening to the other show and then changed over to Orson Welles' show was the fact that there was some overlap and there was no disclaimer thereafter, and people actually thought that Martians were invading.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Surgeon General warned you that changing channels may be detrimental to your health, mental sanity, and valuable.
But I can't believe nobody actually looks outside their window and sees that there's Martians actually coming.
They don't need to. They're too busy listening to Orson Welles, having multiple orgasms.
I have to say Orson Welles is one hell of an artist.
Now, an interesting thing about this radio broadcast is that it was not the first of its kind.
Yeah, exactly.
It was originally copied off of a British artist on BBC, who originally said that there were riots occurring throughout London, and it caused a mass panic.
oh my gosh! What's going on?
And interestingly enough, they believed it, despite the happy, upbeat dance music that accompanied this broadcast.
I mean...
Bad news you can swing to.
That's for sure.
But we're getting a bit off topic.
That's very
How about
true.
those movies?
The movies, oh my gosh, the movies were incredible. They actually brought the imagination of Orson Welles and H.G. Wells to life. The fact that the power of imagination could inspire such producers such as Steven Spielberg and, oh god, I can't remember the guy's name, but somebody that could inspire them to produce such a tremendous film that actually won several awards for filmography and special effects and everything of their time, especially the one with the 1953 something. The fact that the power of imagination could inspire those guys to go into depth with the fact that there are Martians invading and the type of ships that were made and how they harvest the resources and get the fact that how we resist it, and the fact that there's this one group of people that were actually following through the entire movie that actually resist and survive this entire invasion.
Now, there's an interesting discrepancy between the book, the radio broadcast, and the movies.
Yes.
And it focuses around the protagonist, because when you start off in the book, he doesn't even believe his wife is alive.
Yeah.
He has no name. He is literally the man with no name. Next, we move on to the radio broadcast.
Yeah.
Again, a no-name protagonist, except this time it's jumped up from the 1800s up to the 1930s when the radio broadcast was created. And then we go with the movies, which has jumped up to the present day.
Yeah.
So there's a large time gap between these three adaptations.
Yeah. But
In real life and after the way up.
exactly, and I can't really believe one over the other because I mean they're not real, but they're science fiction. But it is very possible that there could be other life on other planets, right?
Well, let's not get into that one right now.
Okay, we'll not get
We'll save that for a bit.
Yeah, say that for a little. We'll come back on that.
How's the special effects between the two movies? Let's compare
The
these.
special effects, since there's such a big time gap between the two movies, the special effects of the older one was way advanced of their time. I mean, the fact that there was like laser beams coming out of these ships and frying people, disintegrating them, and then there was
They didn't have $50 million budgets.
They didn't have a 50. It was a $3 million budget for the first one, and the fact that it was $132 million for the second one.
And this is taking place in the early 1950s, before the inflation.
Exactly, and
This is a good deal of money.
this is a really good deal of money. This is after World War II. I mean, this could be, this is when science fiction horror really took place because you get all your B movies like Creature from the Black Lagoon, Dracula started coming out. Everything about monsters and everything science fiction.
My Dog is a Vampire.
Exactly. Everything that comes out or science fiction comes out during that time. And the fact that Steven Spielberg used the movie that was made in the 1950s and used it in 2005 was the fact that it was unbelievable special effects that he could actually go off of the old movie and then
He had a lot more new toys to play with.
Oh my gosh, he had so much more new toys. The spaceships though were a little different in one or the other because the first one there wasn't really legs coming out of it wasn't like a tripod, it was just hovering over it, and it had like this little eye on top, and it would shoot laser beams out the side. Well, the new one, it looks somewhat like it. It has a huge eye in the middle, and it has tripods coming out the side, it looks like a tripod. Well, it looks like a camera on a tripod. That's what it looks like.
Smile, your uncandid camera.
Yeah, that's what they kind of did.
Say cheese and die.
Exactly.
Say cheese and die too. Die hard.
Yeah. But when But when the movies came out, I was surprised to see, because I watched the old one first to see, say I didn't see the first one because I actually did, but that doesn't matter. Both of them were very scary to a point. I mean, if you were actually there, in the 1950s, if you were actually watching the movie, you would probably be scared because it was very realistic of that time. It was a black and white film, and it was dark and scary and very, very realistic compared
to... A very chilling atmosphere.
Exactly.
What you said.
Yeah.
Now, I'd like to go back to these tripods for a moment.
Yeah.
Now, they all bear some similarities throughout the films.
Yeah.
They all start off with this explosion from Mars.
Well, they all... Yeah.
Well, maybe that was just the book.
Yeah.
But anyways.
It's an invasion, and you see all these ships coming towards Earth, kind of.
They're not really sure until the tripod lands. Which they all mistake as a radioactive meteorite, which they cannot approach at first because it's way too good analyzed.
Yeah, yeah.
And although they all bear different similarities, they can be flying cameras, they can be actual tripods on legs attacking people.
Exactly. I mean,
but they all share a base similarity.
Base similarity.
They all got 3 legs.
3 legs.
They're all meteors.
Yeah.
It all starts out the same way.
Well, the last movie though, did not start out the same as everything else. They actually, the machines were technically buried underground, and a lightning bolt or a huge storm came up, and lightning struck the ground in a spot. And supposedly in the movie, you can see this
sleeper cells.
That there was like a little pod going down in the ground every time a lightning struck. Like it was sending a passenger or a pilot down into the ground to operate these machines that would come up out of the ground and start killing people.
Martians, they're made of light.
Martians.
My God.
That's scary. But that's the only difference I can see is the fact that the Martians weren't actually in the ship before the movie started.
Because in the book, they originally just crawl out and then they're turtles. They're flailing on their backs because of the gravity.
Yeah.
Not as planned.
Yeah. Well.
And I originally liked the explanation for how they were able to get up. The oxygen, so much stronger than Mars, invigorated them to counterbalance this. Bullshit. But still, it's pretty interesting.
I mean, the fact that they use Martians actually is interesting too, because why not moon people or anything else? Because there could be something on the moon. Why not use something that's a little closer?
And here too, before this time, they never considered it in detail that they would be more advanced than us. That they would look Starward. How would it go? Starward?
Yeah, Starward, yeah.
Sunward is the term.
Yeah. Why not use some...
Looking sunward, they envied our green and blue lush planets.
Yeah. And in the end, the smallest bacteria wins out.
Yes, they all catch AIDS. No, just bacteria.
Technically, it's a virus and bacteria that kills them because our bodies have technically built up an immunity to whatever they caught. It could also be used the fact that, how Europeans came over from Europe and came over...
The Black Death reloaded.
And killed off Indians because of the fact that they brought...
They had no immunities whatsoever.
Exactly, didn't have any immunity.
That's why such a small force is able to overcome such a large...
Exactly.
Aside from making all their allies and their technological advances.
Exactly. The technology did not help them there.
Now, what I find interesting is that in the later movies, rather than all the Martians just dropping dead in their tripods as well because of bacteria, in the films, occasionally, their force fields would fail because there's no Martians there to maintain them for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Birds would land, and then that's how the protagonist realizes, hey, shoot the hell out of that shit. And then down it goes. Spectacular.
Yeah. So, but,
ladies and gentlemen, if you ever fight aliens, remember, AIDS. It may save your life.
That's kind of scary.
Back to you.
That's kind of scary. I don't want to get AIDS.
It's okay, Johnny. You don't have to, so long as they do.
Okay. What else did you think about? Did you watch the movies, right? What else did you think about? It was based in America.
Yes.
So
Unlike the first film, it did take place in California, but in New York, with the out-of-luck doppelganger.
yeah, out of work doppelganger. Did you think that?
More DACA! Needed more DACA.
The first one was scientist, right? The second one was this.
Well, the first book was a philosopher, unless you're talking about the movie.
The first movie was a scientist, and he was trying to discover whether or not.
I believe so.
And what do you think why would Steven Spielberg choose a different person to portray a protagonist in this film? Because I never realized that there was a scientist, and then there was this guy, because they both seem like the same person, and they both are doing the same thing, like cutting off these little things that come down on the ground after you, and cutting them off with axes and stuff like that. It just interests me the way.
I believe it would be to hook in on the unknown angle. The
Okay.
scientist has some idea of what's going on. He can rationalize and explain it. And an everyman dock worker, this is Armageddon. This is the apocalypse coming down on your
So
head.
what you're saying is that he was trying to relate to the audience, because, I guess, right?
He was trying to keep it more in the dark.
Okay.
More of the fear factor.
Okay. But I didn't think about this until we started discussing this.
It's okay, I haven't thought about anything so long.
Scientists back in the 50s were big. They were always the hero. They were always.
How big are they? Are we talking like 6 feet, 7 feet, 8 feet?
No, famous, like Albert Einstein and all them. They were working on stuff to create.
Stardom big.
Yeah, exactly, stardom. To where they were.
Total freaking rock stars from Mars.
Exactly, they were figuring out stuff. They were doing things. They were going to the moon and everything else.
Now this may be hard for you to believe, but there was a time when it was possible that this could happen. Scientists, governors, they were more popular than movie stars at this time.
Well, they were about to.
Back in the early 1950s.
Well,
They're not as overshadowed.
They're not as overshadowed as now, because I think most people like discrepancy, and they don't like the work being published because of the copyright laws and the plagiarism and everything else that's going on, with the fact that people could copy their work and use it for something else.
Copyright infringement.
Yeah, exactly. The fact that the scientists were big and everybody wanted to know a hero and everything, and they wanted to believe that these scientists could figure out how to destroy an alien ship and how to do all this, and they really.
One thing that interests me, how do you think this relates to our astronomy class? Like, say, for Martian travel. They only saw about, what, 6 days between the flashes on Mars, their takeoff, and their arrival on Earth?
Yeah,
That's a journey that should take months. We're chalking this up to alien technology.
We start getting
When you edit this, put alien technology in front of it.
Alien technology. Well, our astronomy class has been talking lately about aliens in Chapter 19. And the fact that I personally believe that we're probably not alone in this universe. Why would somebody stick us here and then not something else?
We're never alone, as my neighbor frequently reminds me, with a loud party at 1 in the morning.
The fact that
no matter how much we wish we may have yet.
it would take years. It would take about 1.5 years to get to Mars from us. But if their technology is more advanced than ours, then I wouldn't say it can get here in 2 days.
But they got here in 6. Well, except for the first time in which they become lightning.
Yeah.
In which case, I don't see how they could get here instantaneously. They became light.
Yeah, the light years and stuff like that and all that. But,
God, that would save so much gas if I could become lightning. Just somebody pisses you off. Lightning to your house! Hey, I came by for dinner. How's it going?
That's a good way to think. The fact that, our astronomy class.
Lightning bolts no longer restricted to Mighty Zeus.
Exactly. Right. Or Jupiter.
The same person.
Yeah, exactly. The mythology. I really don't know how to explain this, but I think if Martians have more technology than us, then they should be able to get here faster than we can get to them. Because they probably have like some kind of warp drive, like out of Star Trek or something like that.
Well, our human cuties certainly got to them faster.
Human cuties?
Human cuties.
Okay. We'll go off of
For
that.
you younger audiences.
Yeah. So, but, you know, there's nothing really to explain out of our astronomy class other than Mars is out there, and we've sent a couple probes to it and haven't found.
They sent a couple probes back, although not in a nice way.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you're into that.
Yeah, well, we haven't found crap.
They had found plenty of crap with their probe.
It's a bunch of rocks. You know, I think that almost every science fiction movie kind of goes off the basis of the fact that
It takes from its roots.
that there are other beings on other worlds, and that there
Mainly be it anything, Star Trek,
Star Trek, Star Wars,
Stargate Atlantis,
Stargate Atlantis, everything. I mean, anything.
Irresponsible Captain Taylor.
Yeah, that's a good one. But you know, there's several movies. There's even a spoof off of War of the Worlds.
Spaceballs.
There's a spoof off of War
Star
of the Worlds
Wars.
on Scary Movie 4.
Hmm.
But it's kind of funny. Alright, we're back. I'm sorry for the interruption.
We've run out of time on our other camera.
We kind of ran out of time on the time on the memory.
Well, what a perfect way to end a video.
Exactly, right? I mean, we didn't know until the red dot went off, so we don't know where we are.
Actually, we didn't know for another 3 minutes afterwards. But
Yeah.
hey, who's counting theirs?
So, I mean...
That's a pretty good way to end video.
exactly, I mean...
So until next time, I'm Jacob Edrington. This is Mao Chow.
Actually, I'm Brandon Hayes, but anyways...
Close enough.
We're not going to do anything like that. But we'll see you next time if we do another video like this. So,
Now with 90% more text messages.
yeah, exactly. Woohoo! So,
Until next time, we come in peace.